Okay, 1 and 6, those are vertical angles. 3 and 11, those are corresponding angles. Okay, 6 and 9, these are on alternate sides of this transversal, but they're on the interior, so these are alternate interior angles. Okay, angles 8 and 12, these are on the same side of this transversal, but they're on the interior of these, so these are same side interior angles. All right, 10 and 14, those make a straight line, so those are supplementary angles. Numbers 1 and 14, those are on all opposite sides of this, or alternate sides of this, and they're on the exterior, so these are alternate exterior angles. And then 5 and 9 are here and here, so they're on the same side of this, but on the interior of that, so these are same side interior angles. And finally, 1 and 16, they don't have a common transversal, so this is no relationship. Okay, 1 and 14, these are on the alternate sides of the transversal, but they're on the exteriors of this, so these are alternate exterior angles. Okay, 5 and 9 are those, they're on the same side and they're on the interior of these, so these are same side interior angles. Okay, 1 and 16 don't have a common transversal, so this has no relationship. Okay, BD, here's B, so D must be over here, and the median gets the midpoint. So I'm going to do this, and I'll call that D, and I'll do this, and then I'm going to use a straight edge and draw a line from B to D. And that's it. Altitude HK, so K must be over here, and I've got to draw a line that's perpendicular, so I'm going to draw the line first. Try and get it perpendicular as possible. And then I'm going to label this K, and I need to show that this is a right angle by doing that. That's necessary. Okay, the perpendicular bisector of AB, first of all, it's a bisector, so I need the midpoint of these. So I'm going to draw a dot that looks halfway in between, and I'm going to show that these are equidistant by doing that. And then that's the bisector part. The perpendicular part, now we have to go through this at a right angle. So I'm going to grab a ruler, and I'm going to make this at a right angle, like this. And you need to put arrows on either side of this, and you need to show that this is a right angle. So you do need your arrows on either side, and you need to show that it's a right angle. Okay, now for this, the altitude FG. So the altitude, we're coming from this vertex, I gotta hit this side at a right angle, but I can't do that on the interior of this triangle. So it's gotta happen somewhere here on the outside of it. So I'm gonna need to extend this line with dashed lines. So I'll take a ruler and I'll just extend this using dashed lines. And then now I can hit this at a right angle. So I'm gonna grab my ruler and I'll do the best I can to make it look like a right angle. But then I've got to draw my dot there, and I've got to show that it's a right angle by doing that. And because this is FG, I have to label this point G. And that's it. These three are the interior angles of a triangle, and we know that the sum of the interior angles of a triangle add to 180. So x is 10. But it wants to find the smallest angle, which is obviously 2x. So 2x is 20. So the smallest angle is 20. Okay, this angle and this angle are complementary, meaning they add to 90. So 10x minus 6 plus 5x plus 21 equals 90. So 15x plus 15 is 90. That means 15x, I'll subtract and get 75. So I'll get x is equal to 5. But it wants angle G. Angle G is 5x plus 21, which is 5 times 5, or 46. So angle G is equal to 46. It says the measure of the supplement of an angle is. So let's stop right there. The supplement is 180 minus x is 15 more than 2 times the complement. Well, the complement is 90 minus x. 2 times that is that. And then 15 more is that. Okay, so now I'm going to solve this, and I have 180 minus x is equal to 180 minus 2x plus 15. That shows up on both sides. It'll subtract out. I'll move that over, and I'll get x is equal to 15. But it wants the complement. So 90 minus x is equal to 90 minus 15, or 75. 60 is 4 times 15. Take this out and we get 2, so this is 2 root 15. This is unsimplified because we have a radical in the denominator. So I'm going to simplify it by multiplying by root 6 over root 6, and we get 12 root 6 over 6, which then this cancels. 6 goes into 6 once and this twice, so we end up with 2 root 6. When I square this, I have to square both parts. So I square this, I get 9, and if I square a square root, I get rid of the square root, and 9 times 8 is 72. Okay, I have negative 3 times negative 10 is a positive 30, and I have x to the negative 2 plus 3. Negative 2 plus 3 is 1. And then I have y to the 4 plus 4 is 8. And then I have z to the negative 1 plus 0 is negative 1. Now I'm going to make a fraction, and anything with a negative exponent is going to move down, and everything else is going to stay up. So the stuff that stayed up was the 30 xy to the 8th. And don't write the exponent of 1. You have to simplify that. You don't write that. And then we have z to the 1. Of course, we don't write the 1 here either. Okay, this has a negative exponent, so I make that positive by moving it up. And we get w square, to the 26 over 1, and that's it. Here I'm going to cancel. This goes once and 3 times, and I'm going to move this a up, and I'm going to move this b down. So what I'm going to get is a to the to the 1 plus 2 on the top, and I'm going to have 3 to the b to the 1 plus 2 on the bottom. In other words, we're going to have a to the 3rd over 3b to the 3rd, because we had the 1a, and then we brought up 2 more to give me 3. And then we had the 1b, and we brought down 2 more to give me b to the 3. To solve by substitution, one of the variables has to be solved. So I'm going to solve for x by moving this over. And I'll have x is equal to 7y plus 13. And then I'm going to take that and plug it into the other equation. So I have 3x minus 5y is equal to 23. And x is 7y plus 13. So we have 21y plus 39 minus 5y equals 23. 21 minus 5 is 16. And 23 minus 39 is negative 16. So y is equal to negative 1. Then I'm going to take that and plug it in here where I've already solved for x to get y. So x is 7 times negative 1 plus 13, which is negative 7 plus 13, or 6. So my ordered pair, x comes first, and then the y. You should always double check that these work in those equations. It's an easy check to do. Okay, to get rid of the x's using elimination, I have to bring them to 15 or the y's to 4. I'd much rather do that. So I'm going to multiply this equation by 2, and I'm going to get 10x minus 8 minus 4y plus 4y, what am I doing, equals 38. I just multiplied this stuff by 2. And then I'm going to add these two equations together. So I'll get 3 plus 10 is 13x, the y's go away, and this is 39, so x is equal to 3. Then you take that and plug it into either equation. I'll plug it into this top one. So we have 5x, which is 5 times 3 or 15, plus 2y is equal to 19. So 2y is equal to 4, so y is equal to 2. So our ordered pair is the x first, then the y. Okay, I'll reduce this. That's 3 over 2. I'll reduce this, and this is negative dividing by 6. I get 2 over 3. These are opposites. One's positive, one's negative, and they're reciprocals. Since they're opposite reciprocals, they're perpendicular. These are reciprocals, but they're not opposites, so they don't have any relationship, so we say neither. When I reduce this, I get 1/2. So they have identical slopes, which means they're parallel. Okay, the distance formula is the square root of x2 minus x1, so 4 minus 2 squared plus 6 minus 8. Actually, doesn't matter which way you subtract, because once you square it, you're going to get the same answer. So this comes out to the square root of 2 squared plus negative 2 squared, which is the square root of 4 plus 4, which is the square root of 8, which is the square root of 2 times 4, and we bring that out, and we get 2 root 2. The 2 that came out and the 2 that was left in. Okay, the slope is y2 minus y1. So y2 is 6, y1 is 8, over x2 minus x1, 4 minus 2. So this is a negative 2 over 2, which is a negative 1. And finally, the midpoint. The x value of the midpoint is we add up the x's and divide by 2. And we add the y value of the midpoint is we add up the y's and write it as an ordered pair. The distance between these 2 points is the square root of x2, which is 4, minus x1, which is negative 4 squared, plus y2, which is negative 5, minus y1, which is 10 squared. So this is the square root of 8 squared plus negative 15 squared, which is the square root of 64 plus 225, which is the square root of 289, which is 17. The slope of these is y2 minus y1, which is negative 5 minus 10, over x2 minus x1, which is 4 minus negative 4. This is 8. And finally, the midpoint, the x value of the midpoint is adding the x's, negative 4 plus 4 over 2. So that's a 0. And the y value of the midpoint is adding the y's, 10 plus negative 5 over 2, which is 5 over 2. Okay, the point negative 2, 9 is up here. That's point A. Negative 8, negative 9 is down here. That's point B. Point C is positive 7, negative 5, which is down here. That's point C. And D is 4, 7, which is up here. So that's point D. and B is in quadrant. It goes like this: quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is quadrant 3. Okay, H is negative 8, 4, which is right there. A is 2, negative 2, which is right there. And M is positive 8, positive 8, which is right there. And then grab a ruler and draw your lines in between those. Okay, and to prove that it's right, we need to find, this looks like the right angle, so we need to find the slope of this and the slope of this. So slopes of HA, the slope of HA, well, you know what, I'll write it like this. The slope of HA is y2 minus y1, negative 2 minus 4, over x2 minus x1, 2 minus negative 8, which becomes negative 6 over 10, which is a negative 3/5. The slope of this line is AM, is y2, which is 8 minus a negative 2, over 8 minus 2. 8 plus 2 is 10, over 8 minus 2 is 6, so this is a positive 5/3. These are opposite reciprocal, so that means they're perpendicular. So because HA is perpendicular to AM, therefore the triangle HAM is a right triangle. Okay, let's start by plotting those points. So negative 8 and negative 6 is right here. That's S. And then we got 2, 8, which is right there. That's T. And 4, negative 8 is right there. And that's L. So then I'm going to use a ruler and connect these points. Okay, now the median TI, here's T, I must be on this side right here. It's got to be the midpoint, so I need to know the midpoint between S and L. So I'm looking for the midpoint of S and L. So the X value of the midpoint, and I'm looking at this and this, is negative 8 plus 4 over 2, which is negative 2. So the X value is negative 2, and the Y value of the midpoint is the Y values, negative 6 plus negative 8 over 2. So negative 2, negative 7, let's see, is right there. And that's that point right there. So I'm going from this point to that point. And I've got to show that is the same distance as that. Okay, for the altitude LC, we've got to start with L, so C must be somewhere on this line. It's got to cross at a right angle. So what I need to know is I need to know the perpendicular to this. So I need to know the slope of this, so I know the perpendicular slope. So the slope of ST, and this time I'm looking at these 2 points. So it's y2 minus y1, which is 8 minus a negative 6 over x2 minus x1. x2 is 2, x1 is negative 8. So this is a plus. We have 14 over 10. So this is 7 over 5. So the slope of the perpendicular is negative 5 over 7. So starting, and you know, because negative 5 over 7 takes me off the graph, I'm going to make sure the 7 goes on the negative goes on the 7. So in other words, I'll put a positive 5 over negative 7. That means that from this point right here, I can rise 5 because it's positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I'm going to go left 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's that point right there. I already lost it. I think I said right here. But let me make sure. Went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's right there. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to grab a ruler, and I'm going to draw a straight line through that point to this point, and I got to call that point C because it's LC, and I got to draw a little right angle symbol there. Okay, now I'm going to draw the perpendicular bisector of TL. Here's TL. So first of all, I need to know the midpoint because I got to know it's got to bisect this. So it's got to be halfway in between. It looks like that point right there, but let's just do it mathematically. So for TL, the x value of the midpoint is, we're looking at those. So 2 plus 4 over 2, which is 6 over 2, which is 3. So 3. And the y value of the midpoint is 8 plus negative 8, which is 0. So the point 3 comma 0 is in fact right there. Okay? And then I got to draw these little, well, I got to make 2 of them because I already used a 1. So that's, you know, the second one. And then I also need to know the slope of this so I know how to go through perpendicular through that point. So the slope of TL is y2, this is TL, negative 8 minus y1 over y2 minus x2, which is negative 16 over 2, which is negative 8. So the slope of the perpendicular is positive 1 over 8. So from this point, I'm gonna, if I rise 1 and go to the right 8, I'm gonna go off the graph. So instead, I'm gonna make these both negative 1 over negative 8. That's the same thing as positive 1 over positive 8, but it allows me to go to the left. So I go down 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That point right there. And so now I'm going to take a ruler and I'm going to go through those 2 points. And I got to draw my right angle marking right there. And that's it. Okay, this right here is an external angle. So those are the 2 opposite internal angles. So x is simply equal to 50 plus 60, so x is equal to 110. And this right here, is an external angle to this. So this is equal to the sum of those, and we know that's 110. So 110 is equal to 45 plus y. So y is equal to 110 minus 45, which is 65. Okay, there's lots of ways to do this, but x and 60 are alternate interior angles, so they're just the same. So x is equal to 60. And then, if you know that this is 60, all 3 of these have to add up to 180. So 90 plus 60 plus y is equal to 180. So y must be equal to 30. Okay, all three angles have to add up to 180. So 2x plus 1 plus 5x plus 5 plus 90 equal 180. So that's 7x plus 96 equals 180. So that means that 7x equals 84. So x is equal to 12. Okay, here we have an exterior angle. They're the opposite interior angles, so that means that 5x must be equal to 4x plus 27. So x must be equal to 27.